smiling first can help someone find the courage to do the same.
This weekend, up your home game with Leon's. Other than the taxes and
Matthews, McDavid, that's been a fixture. Tavares and Nylander back together tonight, all of which likely to see plenty of the nuclear duo of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Brumé said this morning that maybe prime Crosby and Malkin back in the day in Pittsburgh, the only other two-pronged attack he can think of that comes anywhere close to game planning for 97 and 29 over his years coaching. And McDavid gets a chance to play with Crosby just over a week. When the Four Nations was first brought up, he mentioned this moment here between Ohtani and Trout. Those are the moments in hockey they have been asking for. That was a showdown. Different kind of showdown here tonight between McDavid and Matthews. A handful of the very best, all under one roof. The winner watches the loser eat, of course. Nobody wants to be the loser here. We'll get you to Chris and Craig in just a moment, but first, Oh Canada, and Al Strachan on the PA.
Of the Humane Animal Rescue Team. On behalf of Olsen and the Edmonton Oilers, congratulations, Leon! And now, fans viewing at home from coast to coast to coast on Hockey Night in Canada and here in Rogers Place, we ask you to please stand if you're able, remove your hats, and join the singing voice of your Edmonton Oilers, Robert Clark, in the performance of the Canadian National Anthem tonight, being accompanied by members of the Red Surge from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
True patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
USA showdown in the Four Nations face-off. It's a McDavid-Matthews Oilers-Leafs clash in the high-octane atmosphere of Rogers Arena here in Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada. Starting goaltenders tonight for Toronto, Joseph Woll, his first career start against the Oilers. He's lost his last two, despite allowing only 2 goals in each of those games. At the other end, it will be Stuart Skinner, 6-1-1 in his last 8 at home. He looks for win number 20 tonight. John Tavares, along with Matthew Nyes, returned to bolster a Leaf lineup that has scored only 3 goals in the last 3 games. Tavares missed 6 with an injury that was suffered in practice. And there's Leon Draisaitl, who leads the NHL in goals with...
It's always special when Toronto comes to town. You've got fans of both teams packed. There's a lot of blue and white to complement the blue and orange. And you've got 2 good teams the last 5 years going head-to-head in often what has been an offensive series between Edmonton and Toronto. The Oilers, though, would like to keep the score down. 10 straight games Edmonton has played allowing 3 goals or less. We told you the starting lineups brought to you by our friends at Coventry. Flexibility within reach. Get back in the game with customizable designs by Coventry Homes. The official builder of the Edmonton Oilers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, against Austin Matthews. We're set to go. Referees Peter McDougall and Tim Chmielewski signal we're ready to go, and the puck is dropped in the Oilers' control. Kulak and Bouchard defensively. A lead pass by Kulak. Stick tied up, so no icing, and pouring in right-hand side is Zach Hyman in pursuit of the puck, but Matthews tugged it free. He's been limited to 36 games this year due to an assortment of injuries. He does have 20 goals on the season. Reset for McCabe and Tanev. The Leafs primarily shutdown pair. Here's William Nylander having a big season for Toronto. 29 goals, one shy of his 4th consecutive 30-goal campaign. Good play off the wall by Corey Perry and hitting a streaking Leon Draisaitl left-hand side. He'll gain the line. One-timer, Nurse on net, and Wall makes the save. A 26-year-old out of Boston College. He was the next guy after Thatcher Demko at that school, and he's 17-10 on the year. Skinner 19-11-4 at the other end, and already Wall wants a new goalie stick. Bob, he made that save with a glove, but he feels like his stick needs to be replaced.
Well, he's already signed himself a 3-year extension that kicks in next year, $3.67 million. So obviously for Brad Treliving, the general manager, part of the future here with the Maple Leafs organization.
Well, he's played well. His save percentage .908 is higher than Stuart Skinner's, who checks in at .903. A lifetime record of 2-2-1 against Toronto, as Bob noted during our pregame show. Face-off win. Corey Perry sent down low for Connor McDavid. Perry getting a sniff with McDavid and Draisaitl. Edmonton is 4-1 this year when starting their top 2 offensive players together on a line. Here's McDavid up top. He'll dish off, top of the right circle, John Klingberg, who's also been riddled with illness. He broke the stick of Pacioretty, but here comes Toronto the other way. And now Nylander breaks into the clear, only to be denied by Stuart Skinner as he tried to drag it back to his backhand side. Nylander, Toronto's top offensive threat. Bursting down the right-hand side is Darnell Nurse, trying to short-side backhand that was stopped by Wall. Rebound Leon Draisaitl protecting off the backhand side. He'll move it to McDavid. Centering pass, loading is Klingberg. Back down low to McDavid. His pass is tipped. McDavid had it on his stick for just a moment, and then it was knocked off by Robertson. Draisaitl fires a pass. Draisaitl between circles. Cross-ice delivery attempted by Klingberg was deflected, and it comes back into the Edmonton zone. Fielded cleanly by Emberson. He and Stetcher paired together tonight. Again, Matthias Ekholm unable to go due to illness. Connor Brown will rifle it down low, right corner Emberson. Out of his reach, Bobby McMahon, who scored twice in Toronto's 4-3 overtime victory back in November, with a clear up to Mitch Marner, the Leafs' leading scorer this year. A steal by Matthews against Emberson. And Toronto gifted an opportunity here, but a one-timer flubbed by Simone Benoit and tracked by Vasily Podkolzin, who moves it up through center ice and fires it in deep. Wall will knock it down. Toronto a reload and a good finishing check. Kasperi Kapanen absolutely leveled the struggling Morgan Riley. Bob, in Toronto's 3-game losing streak, Riley in particular has been exploited.
He's had a tough go here, plus-minus wise this year.
And hasn't done a whole lot offensively, at least by his standards. Pontus Holmberg turned it over as he hit the Edmonton line. Oilers in the blue and orange, outlined in white, moving left to right in this first period. Toronto on the white and blue. And charging the other way after a steal is David Kampf. He'll get it down low to Holmberg. Fourth line shift for Toronto. It's Holmberg trying to power his way back behind the net, looking for Stephen Lawrence in front. That was broken up and carried up ice by Jeff Skinner, who has scored in each of the last 2 games that he's played. Tried a sharp angle shot that clipped the side of the net. Wall gives it a look and now reaches out and pulls it in. 3.5 minutes gone by in the first period. The Oilers have just 3 wins in their last 12, 6 in their last 24 against Toronto. And Bob, more often than not, Edmonton has at least been the equal of Toronto over that stretch. So why the difficult matchup?
Well, that's a good question. I used to think that, especially in Toronto, some of the OHL graduates that grew up there playing in the GTHL A little bit jittery at times. Toronto's had good teams. Edmonton's been the better team come playoff time. Some would argue better division to play in as well.
Here's the wrist shot kicked out by Wall. Rebound. Toronto often has run into Boston or Tampa. Of course, also lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals at the beginning of this run. Here's Hyman, one-handing a backhander wide. Nurse's centering pass pinballed wide, and then trying a shot only to have it deflected away was Victor Arvidsson, and the Leafs were able to funnel it back through center. Klingberg, a sharp play off the wall to get it to Nugent Hopkins. He'll chip it back in. Chris Tanev rifles one up the right-hand side, out of the zone. In turn, blasted on net by Kulak, knocked down by Wall, and left for Jake McCabe. Here's Austin Matthews, a poor pass that's intercepted by Leon Draisaitl. Off the turnover, a blast by Perry, and that whistled off the left shoulder of Joseph Wall. Rebound McDavid. Tried to center for Draisaitl. That puck ate him up a little bit. Draisaitl to Kulak, and then Bouchard muffed one back at center ice. Oilers thus far are 3-1-1 on their homestand. This is their final home game of the stand. They play 7 of their next 8 on the road. Leafs, likewise, will play 11 of their next 13 beginning tonight away from home. Knives back in the lineup after missing some time. Same could be said of Tavares. His centering pass broken up. Bouchard ahead to Draisaitl. One-timer McDavid, and that was blocked. Otherwise, might have been trouble for Toronto. Here's Draisaitl on the left half boards. Now McDavid being pursued up top. Marner giving him a look as it goes rink wide to Bouchard. His shot blocked by Knies. Rebound McDavid across the Draisaitl, right face-off dot, and he missed the net. Careened off the plexi all the way out to center ice. We've played 5 1/4. Edmonton has registered 5 of the game, 6 shots on net, Bob, and has missed the net on a couple of other occasions.
They've had some looks in and around the net for sure.
Here's Brown, back pass to Emberson, wristed down deep. We have not had a lot of whistles, but there's one as Edmonton had stepped in prematurely, and that means bring the face-off all the way back into the Oilers zone. 5 1/2 gone by in the first period. Bob, Toronto should be desperate, but this is not much of a start from the Leafs.
It's not, but we're scoreless and an unforced error for a D-zone draw. And the Leafs are one of the few teams that's right there with Edmonton top 5 in face-offs.
Max Domi, whose only career National Hockey League hat trick came at the expense of the Edmonton Oilers when he was a member of the then Phoenix Coyotes. 2013, Bob, I'm pretty sure they were still Phoenix.
They were.
Darting up the left-hand side, shoveled in by Troy Stetcher, and Toronto's Benoit first to reach the puck. For the Leafs, Ryan Reeves, who belted Darnell Nurse the last time these two squared off in mid-November, is a healthy scratch today. So we won't have any potential rough stuff involving those two, who also fought when Reeves was a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Shoveled back to Troy Stetcher, left point shot, and that was tipped wide by Connor Brown, the former Leaf. He actually ushered that wide himself. McMahon takes a lead pass from Max Domi and tries to power his way through Emberson, cut off by Stetcher, and the Oilers will bust out left to right. Emberson biding his time. He gave the puck away early. Here he's able to recover, but a tough pass to Kapanen, broken up. Tavares, a backhander off the rush by Nylander, and a save made by Stuart Skinner. Boy, Nylander, so much polish, Bob.
Yeah.
Another steal, Tavares, and Nylander shoots and scores. That's 30 for William Nylander, right on cue.
Well, the Oilers are going to, Ty Emerson's going to get some more ice time tonight, and unfortunately, twice in this game he's turned pucks over, and that time a second chance opportunity for the Leafs. The Oilers were able to thwart the initial surge from Nylander, but the puck came back to him on the high point. Right in the high slot, he just got a shot drifted through the net. He did the thing that the Oilers haven't been able to do, Jack. Oilers have had some opportunities to put it to the goal. Haven't got pucks through. Leafs do, and it's 1-0.
Skinner had made a good initial save on Nylander, and then Tavares put it in the high slot, and if you saw that, it was a nice screen set by Max Pacioretty in front. I'm not sure Stuart Skinner ever saw the point of release.
But completely an unforced error by Edmonton.
Correct.
Started the whole sequence off.
1-0 Toronto. That's 4 consecutive 30-goal campaigns for William Nylander, who, of course, has scored 40 in each of the prior 2 seasons. So he's at 30 now and looks to be at 40 again this year. Darnell Nurse to Klingberg. Wrist shot, a glove save made by Wall. We have played 7 minutes, and despite a good start, the Oilers cough up the game's opening goal, and Toronto has been deadly when in front this season. We'll tell you about that when we come back to Rogers Place. William Nylander's 30th goal of the year, set up by John Tavares, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Maple Leafs. We're live with Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Be a savvy Edmonton hotel shopper. Book your
Toronto Maple Leafs with a 1-0 lead, looking to snap a 3-game losing streak. It's been a frenetic 14 games for Toronto. Winning 5, losing 3, winning 3, losing 3. Streaky, to say the least, and just 3 goals in their last 3 games. But Nylander's 30th has given Toronto a 1-0 lead, and Matthews off the draw with a neutral zone turnover allows the Oilers to pour back in offensively. Arvidsson to Klingberg, across for Nurse. That pass initially out of his reach, then a shot dropped by Wall. It's loose in the blue paint. Oilers look to dig it out, turned over again by Matthews. Here's Klingberg, who spent a brief and ultimately unproductive time in Toronto, falling back, and the Leafs through the neutral zone. Pontus Holmberg heading for the net. He's played with Matthews occasionally this year. A penalty coming against Edmonton. Morgan Riley gives it up, gets it back, one-timer, and a blocked shot. David Kampf had it blocked. Riley gave it up for Kampf. Loading up, down low was Nylander. Return to David Kampf, top of the right circle. This is a delayed penalty situation. Toronto's playing 6-on-5. A hard pass was mishandled by Morgan Riley, and both teams will change on the fly. 12 minutes to go, first period. Toronto, despite being outshot, 7-3, leads 1-0. And now the Leafs are guilty of icing, and Edmonton will indeed be short-handed heading to the box.
Wrong guy for Edmonton.
Yeah, that is not where they like to go to the box here. Nugent Hopkins for slashing, and the reason Bob says that is Edmonton's penalty kill has been very good the last 3 months. It's a little bit of a tug on Holmberg.
All right, we better see that both ways if that's going to be the standard, Jack.
15 straight kills for Edmonton, put to the test without Nugent Hopkins. And remember, without Matthias Ekholm.
Right, so 2/4 of their top penalty-killing unit.
Adam Henrique against John Tavares. Longtime combatants. Tavares drafted first overall in 2009. Blistered over the net blocker side against Stuart Skinner. William Nylander down low. Top of the left circle, Nylander a little too casual, that pass. Marner able to maintain the zone, but now Edmonton has possession. Kulak will hammer it up the left-hand boards and past Austin Matthews. So the Leafs pay for that giveaway by Nylander.
And Nylander's been real good here in the first period. He's got the goal, he's got a lot of jump.
And a backhander stopped by Skinner before he scored the goal. Now Nylander hustles through the neutral zone. Little hip check flattened him by Matthias Janmark. Marner will move it over to Matthews. 20 goals on the year for Austin Matthews. Marner dishes off to John Tavares, who has 7 power play goals this year. Matthews fires, saves Skinner, rebound, score. Matthew Nyes welcoming himself back to the lineup. Tucks home a rebound, power play goal, and Toronto extends to a 2-0 lead. That's 19 for Matthew Nyes.
Well, give him credit. That's a great set of hands in tight. He picks up the rebound. Skinner couldn't quite control it, and Nyes found it and was able to chisel a backhand home, and it's a 2-0 Leaf lead.
Nyes for Matthews, who took the initial shot. As you said, Bob, that wrister that Matthews possesses gets on you, and it's tough to control the rebound. Skinner didn't do it, and he pays for it as Matthew Nyes, who is the Big Ten Player of the Year at the University of Minnesota, buries it.
Zero hesitation on the Leafs to put pucks to the net on the power play.
Skinner off the center ice draw, will control and put it up the left-hand boards. That skips out of play. Time of the goal, 9:08.
All year, Edmonton's been able to, with the exception of the first 3 games of the season, Jack, being able to handle scenarios where they're down 2-0 in games. But this might be a little bit different animal tonight. They're playing a building that is divided.
Well, you said, Bob, watch the start of this game.
That's what concerned me, was just because the Leaf fans feed in the frenzy.
Off the draw. Oilers move through the neutral zone. Drop pass, Kulak to Zach Hyman. Threw it around the boards. Already you've got Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman together, Bob. So they've gone away from Corey Perry, at least for now. Matthew Knies scored 15 goals as a rookie last season, 19 this year. Here's Matthews. Could not beat a trio of Leafs, and Nick Robertson the other way for Toronto. Max Domi carrying the zone, tried to center, and that skipped off the corner boards. I thought the start, and I agreed with you, in particular important because Toronto's desperate right now. 3 straight losses. Connor Timmins under duress off a dump in from McDavid. Hyman burrows in on the forecheck. Of course, 6 years with Toronto, a shot, and that was blocked. Rebound, flash down low. Oh, what a reverse hit by Benoit. Might have gotten away with a trip on Draisaitl.
He did.
And here's Robertson with an outlet to Max Domi. They trade the puck with Connor Timmins, and it's sent down low for Bobby McMahon. Ridden into the boards, McMahon able to regain, and then knocked off the puck by Matthias Janmark, who will slither his way up the left-hand side. Rink wide to Darnell Nurse, and it's stroked back into the corner with 9:20 to go in this first period. Toronto leading 2-0. William Nylander at even strength from Tavares. A power play goal by Matthew Knies from Austin Matthews. Nurse calling for that puck back from John Klingberg off a Toronto dump-in. He'll get it and flip it through the neutral zone. Morgan Riley up the left-hand side. John Tavares into the zone that looked offside, and a late call coming against William Nylander and the Leafs. Our linesmen tonight, Joe Mahan and Steve Barton, will step aside. We have played 11 minutes at Rogers Place, where Toronto is 9-2-1 in its last 12 in Edmonton, and they've got a 2-0 lead over the Oilers. Live from Rogers Place, downtown Edmonton. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. Hey, 9 minutes to play, first period. Toronto 2, Edmonton no score. Nylander and Knies with the goals for Toronto. Matthew Knies had missed the last couple for the Leafs, who've dropped 3 in a row coming in. Edmonton, meanwhile, 14-2-1 in its last 17 at home. Stetcher fires it in deep. And now you've got Tanev and McCabe defending down low. Connor Brown backhands it to Emberson. Thrust back down for Podkolzin. His centering pass intended for Henrique is picked off. And gathering steam through the neutral zone is William Nylander. And he's drawn a penalty from behind. I think it's Podkolzin. A high stick, maybe? Nylander drew the penalty.
Yeah, it's a call.
And Podkolzin, I believe, a high stick from behind, whacked him.
Number 92, 2-minute minor, high stick.
There it is. So Toronto converted its first power play. Knies getting the goal. And now they'll go right back on the man advantage. And Bob, with 8.5 to go on the
kill.
I was just going to say, even though we've got 48 minutes left to play, this feels important.
This is the exact scenario we were worried about.
Face-off win for Adam Henrique against John Tavares, and then played down the middle. What a play by Stetcher. Nugent Hopkins knocked it down and denied shorthanded. That could have been a game-turning type of play, but Joseph Wall comes up with the save, and he's got 8 of them. In the first period, Nylander dangling his way into the offensive zone, tried to dish off to Austin Matthews. He'll control deep right circle. Saucered back to the point. One-timer flubbed by William Nylander. Knies powering through, and it's forced down low to Matthews. Marner tried to settle it down, and then Nylander missed another one-time opportunity. Tried to shovel it back, whacked out of midair by Nugent Hopkins. Down low, you've got Troy Stetcher, knocked off balance by Tavares. Coming up with the puck is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and he'll move up the right-hand side. Hits Nurse, short-handed. His shot smothered by Mitch Marner, and the Leafs come back the other way on the counterattack. Max Domi streaking in left-hand side. Stick on the ice, played it back to Marner. Threw it across. You've got Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Down low, quick stuff play a second time, and a save made by Stuart Skinner on Max Pacioretty. Ekman-Larsson, McMahon, steered out, Max Domi, waited, nearly paid for it, got it back to Riley, a shot, stopped by Skinner, rebound, backhander score, Bobby McMahon. That's his third goal against the Oilers this season, and it puts Toronto up 3-0 with Skinner down and out. You wonder whether there is contact from Pacioretty, but for now, it'll be Bobby McMahon's 15th of the year, and Toronto is 2 for 2 on the power play.
Well, they got some really good players back in their lineup, and the Oilers playing without their best defensive defenseman. I don't know if you can challenge this if you're Chris Knoblauch.
I didn't see a whole lot.
Neither
there was some contact, but
I think it's going to be a good goal. And the Oilers have been touched up twice on the PK here, and they've dug themselves a real big hole against a team that is better at defending than they've been.
Draisaitl out there with McDavid and Arvidsson, wristed down deep by Evan Bouchard. And we talked about the penalty kill. The first one was against Nugent Hopkins, so you were without him and Ekholm. And Ekholm's presence, or lack thereof, felt there on the PK. David Kampf over the line, right-hand side. Stephen Lawrence, a shot, and Kampf nearly snuck in the rebound as it was leakage again, Bob. McDavid ahead for Leon Draisaitl. Tried to sneak around Jake McCabe, couldn't do it. Toronto's got 3 goals on 11 shots in this first period.
Cross-check right from behind.
Moving it up the left-hand side, and out Stephen Lawrence, and coming over to make a play on it, Brett Kulak against Pontus Holmberg. 3-0 Toronto. A pair of power play goals for the Leafs as Brett Kulak settles the play down for Edmonton. Coming left to right. Kulak looking for Klingberg. Left-hand side, Jeff Skinner. Down low, Hyman. Tripped. Penalty coming against Ekman-Larsson. One-timer out the other side from Adam Henrique. And now as it's touched up by Pacioretty, the Leafs will be shorthanded when we come back. Riley and Domi with the assist on Toronto's second power play goal of the afternoon. It's credited to Bobby McMahon, but now to the box will be Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who of course won a Stanley Cup at the expense of Edmonton last year as a member of the Florida Panthers. 5:58 to play, first period. Toronto 3, Edmonton no score. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. Back in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth, Jack Michaels alongside Bob Stauffer, Bryn Griffiths, and Rob Brown as well atop the 8th floor at Rogers Place. Well, the Napa Auto Parts penalty kill, as Bob indicated, has been touched up twice already in the first 14 minutes of this game, so now it's incumbent upon the Atco power play to get the Oilers on the board. McDavid wins the faceoff. Draisaitl twists back to Evan Bouchard. Now Nugent Hopkins left circle. Back to Bouchard between circles. A shot blockered away by Joseph Woll. McDavid lingering right circle. Net front. A quick stuff play by Hyman. A rebound. Draisaitl tried to hit McDavid. That pass was too hard. Fed back to Bouchard by McDavid, and now he'll take it himself. Right circle shot blocked. Rebound comes out Nugent Hopkins. Toronto penalty kill has been burned 8 times over the last 7 games. 50% over that stretch. Nugent Hopkins couldn't sneak it through to Hyman. Tanev trying to staple the puck along the end boards. Toronto leading 3-0. 5 1/4 to play in the first period, and it'll be a clear by Mitch Marner. Did not put enough on that, though. Got a little lazy with it. Bouchard to McDavid down the slot, lost the handle, and it's fallen on by goaltender Joseph Woll. And is it me, Bob, and dare I say this, but McDavid the last couple of games fighting that puck a little bit. We saw it earlier in the year. It's been bouncing on him.
Oh, it's been bouncing on him. And it hasn't been as smooth. I mean, that season he had 2 years ago was one for the ages. It's been Draisaitl who, on many nights, has been the best Oilers, you know.
Draisaitl digs in against David Kampf. Well, we just had a coach in here that predicted that might be the case. A one-timer and a great shoulder save made by goaltender Joseph Woll against a Bouchard blast.
Nothing wrong with that. A little high heat. Give Wall something to think about.
50 seconds left on the penalty to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. First unit still out there, and then Bouchard and Draisaitl, a miscommunication. And that's costly, Bob. It's an icing call. It brings the faceoff back in your own zone, and essentially the 50 seconds left on the power play becomes more like 40.
This is, you don't have Ekholm, and we think the organization took a massive step forward when Matthias Ekholm came to the Oilers. Plus 91.
Well, we don't think it. They did.
They did. And the Oilers right now look a little out of sorts without him. And the Leafs got back Tavares and Nyes, and that completely changed their top six.
And they haven't been healthy all year.
No.
When we were in Toronto, a little banged up, Matthews didn't play.
Probably missed an opportunity that night if you're Edmonton.
Here's David Kampf, and yet in that game, Leon Draisaitl tied it with 90 seconds to go, where Edmonton would have got nothing out of that after leading after 2 periods. Toronto got 2 in the third, but Draisaitl rescued the Oilers late before, I believe it was Mitch Marner in overtime of the winner. Here's McDavid walking in right-hand side. He was stripped, and Toronto with a clear. David Kampf. A dart down the left-hand side, and that'll do it for the top unit for Edmonton. This power play inside 10 seconds brought to you by Atco Energy. Atco, your trusted Alberta retailer. Nurse to Victor Arvidsson. He'll slam it in from the blue line. Connor Timmins over to play it for Toronto. Puck squeezed off his stick. Arvidsson out to the point for Darnell Nurse. Power play is over. Nurse's shot deflected away. Kapanen will give it to Nurse. Cross ice to John Klingberg, right point. And now Kapanen in the high slot. Maintained the zone. Got it to Nurse. Flicked down low for Arvidsson. Ushered along. Adam Henrique won a battle against Timmins. Arvidsson turning and twisting. Klingberg high slot. Gave it back to Arvidsson. Left wing fires. A stop made by Joseph Woll. The rebound handled and cleared by Oliver Ekman-Larsson. 12 shots for Edmonton. All have been stopped by Joseph Woll, making his first ever start head-to-head against the Edmonton Oilers. Klingberg, center ice, Janmark, and he'll fire it in. That's going to be knocked down by Woll. Backing up tonight is Matt Murray for the Maple Leafs, who's 8-2-1 lifetime against Edmonton. This is an icing call against Toronto. They are supposedly getting Anthony Stolarz, who beat Edmonton back in November, back fairly quickly, and he's actually posted the best numbers across the board. But Bob, Stolarz, the jury is still out where he can get, if he can give you 50 games without getting banged up.
Totally fair question. Very athletic goaltender, but seemingly always nicked up.
Former Oiler, briefly, face-off win for Tavares, and cleared up the left-hand side. Tavares cut off behind the net, grabbed by Brett Kulak, and the Oilers break out without difficulty. Sent in deep by Troy Stetcher. Outreach for the puck. Nylander won a battle on the right-hand side. Cleared back into the Edmonton zone. Stetcher turned it over. Riley will give it up. And now Max Domi. Riley shot, and that was blocked. Riley actually had a man down low. I think it was Pacioretty.
He didn't realize it.
He didn't see him.
Yeah, the Oilers were lucky there. They got caught. Turnover. First even-strength goal, same thing. Emerson turned the puck over. That time it was Stetcher in a tough spot on the ice.
I mean, Pacioretty was all alone in front of Stuart Skinner, but Riley missed him. Here's Bouchard. Lead pass, another poor one, and this is an icing call against Edmonton. And the Oiler attack, which was sharp early, has sputtered over the last 5 or 6 minutes, even on the power play. So it's 3-0 Toronto. Offensive zone draw for the Leafs with 2:11 to play in the first.
Oilers going to have to dig here, Jack. You know, right now, and I mean this in all sincerity, they got to get out of this period only down 3-0. Because Toronto's got some momentum, and Toronto hasn't been scoring for a while, and the faucet's on right now for the Maple Leafs. And the Oilers have to turn it off.
McCabe to Tanev. I'll tell you what, if they don't get out 3-0, I think Calvin Pickard comes out for the second period. Here's a shot by McCabe, and that was tipped off Domi's stick, backhanded by Bouchard into the center ice region, grabbed by Domi, and flipped back into the Edmonton zone. Robertson streaking after it, fell down. Bouchard with a clear, and now Darnell Nurse has some open ice. He'll gain the line, move it over to Zach Hyman. Hyman against Domi. Hyman wearing 18 for Edmonton. Domi wearing Hyman's old number in Toronto. A shot by Nurse, and that was blocked. And grabbed and cleared eventually by Bobby McMahon. He'll lift through center. Hyman wore 11 in Toronto, and of course 11 is spoken for by Bob Stauffer's all-time favorite Oiler. Here's John Klingberg. working his way to center. Leon Draisaitl feathers it to McDavid. Poke checked off his stick, but now Kulak is there to maintain. Draisaitl breaks away. In the high slot, he'll drop it for John Klingberg. Right around Matthew Knies, heading for the net. Backhanded pass, and that was tipped. Draisaitl was lurking. That could have been dangerous. Marner with a giveaway. McDavid to the net. A wrist shot denied by Joseph Woll, and he reaches out and pulls it in as Timmins now engaged. And he's got Corey Perry draped all over him. Perry didn't like the extra run and comes right back on Timmins. Timmins felt like his goaltender had been given an extra shot by Corey Perry, who at age 39 has had a terrific season. And tonight, at least at the start, got elevated into a top-line role, and I think justifiably so when you consider his 50 games. What he's given you on the fourth line with no power play time is pretty impressive.
Well, Benoit's been hacking and whacking all game here.
Well, that was Timmins.
Yes, I know. And Timmins, who used to be represented by Jeff Jackson, and back in the day, several years ago, I think they're both going off for the rest of the period here. It'll probably be coincidental roughing minors.
Edmonton number 90, Toronto number 25, each have minor penalties for roughing.
Peter McDougall confirms Bob Stauffer's astute analysis. And a face-off coming to Woll's right-hand side. The Oilers have outshot the Leafs 14-11 in this first period, but it's a 3-0 game for Toronto. So 4-on-4, you'd think would favor Edmonton. And indeed, this season, the Oilers in 4-on-4 situations have outscored the opposition to the tune of 4-0. Toronto's a -1 4-on-4. So let's see what happens here. Draisaitl against Matthews, bottled up. Marner the clear to Matthews, and here come the Toronto Maple Leafs right to left. Marner drags his way into the offensive zone. He'll head for the net, shadowed by McDavid. Tried to center, that was broken up. Served it up to Chris Tanev with a half minute to go in the period. McCabe will pull it out of the zone. Very conservative posturing for Toronto, considering they've got a shutdown pair in Marner and Matthews out there. But that's the respect that McDavid and Draisaitl have earned. Here's Marner. Make sure to play it down low. Final 15 seconds. Oilers toss it up the right-hand side. Draisaitl at center ice. Edmonton has to move with some speed here. But Draisaitl's return pass is poor. Nylander burrows in. Won a battle against Klingberg, who wrestled the puck away from Nylander. And now the horn will sound. And the Oilers do get out of the period, trailing 3-0. But still a tough start as Toronto bangs home a pair on the power play and will skate 4-on-4 for the first 65 seconds of the second period, which has been Edmonton's best all year long. But then again, that's also Toronto's best period.
Well, the Oilers got some serious work to do because in that...
Back in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth, Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer, ready for the start of the second period. It'll be a 4-on-4 situation. The Oilers have not given up a goal in this circumstance all year, and they've scored 4 times. Well, they need to get going. 40 minutes to play, but they're down 3-0. First period goals for Toronto. Nylander is 30th, Knies is 19th, McMahon is 15th, and off the draw, Austin Matthews cleans up Leon Draisaitl, so the Leafs will start the second period with the puck. They're in the white, traveling left to right, and unable to get a stick on a lead pass is Jake McCabe. A bit of an unforced error there for the Leafs, and the Oilers, top 4, will get a look in the offensive zone. Kulak and Bouchard paired with McDavid and Draisaitl on a quick conference. Draisaitl and Bouchard talking about where to be in the event of a face-off win. Face-off to the right side of Joseph Woll, the Toronto starter. Jack Stauffer with you. Oilers 32-15-4, looking to solidify their hold on first place in the Pacific Division. McDavid, miscommunication with Bouchard. His cross-ice pass off the draw trickles outside the zone, and Bouchard drifts back into his own zone. Lead pass picked up by Draisaitl on a deflection. Left circle, he pulls up. Tried to shovel it back to Kulak, and then skipped off his skate and outside the zone. And Edmonton continues to sputter offensively. Bouchard to McDavid, checked by McCabe. A good gap that time by McCabe allows Chris Tanev to wander over and give it back to McCabe for an outlet for Mitch Marner. And here come the Leafs. Marner, drop pass over the line, Matthews. Tanev tried to center, and that was broken up.
Matthews had it popped off his stick. Nugent Hopkins carries it up through neutral, paired with Draisaitl, made a move around Nylander and then tried to give it up, but Klingberg had the pass elude him, and the Oilers have been a whisker off throughout the evening.
They've been a whisker off for the last 3 or 4 games, Jack.
I agree with you. They played just well enough to get by in the last couple. Well, that was not going to be well enough today against Toronto. Here's Arvidsson giving it up for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Leafs trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Arvidsson will move it up top. Klingberg tried to center. That's deflected high in the air, came right back to him. Then put it back behind the net for Zach Hyman. He's getting worked over by Morgan Riley and falls to the ice surface. Cleared by Tanev to William Nylander, who opened the scoring today. He'll gain the line. Nylander, 30 goals on the year. He's now 4th by himself in the National Hockey League in that department. Pacioretty, a shot by Benoit was blocked, and then falling down as he tried to move up ice was Zach Hyman. And again, Bob, one of those subtle plays. The Oilers just a shade off all day. McCabe, a reset for Toronto. An outlet pass is on target for Max Domi, left to right over the line. To the net with a backhander and a save made by Stuart Skinner at the expense of Nick Robertson, whose brother Jason has had some big years in Dallas. So he played 2 1/4. It remains 3-0 for the Leafs.
So one of the areas that the Oilers, in theory, when they get everybody healthy on the fence, have an advantage is the productivity from the back end.
Yes.
The Oilers don't have Matthias Ekholm, so even though they got double the amount of goals,
more than double.
Yeah, it takes away a 23-minute-a-game defender that's also on their first penalty killing unit, and they've been touched up for 2 here with this Leafs power play.
Leafs this year the fewest amount of goals from their back end in the entire league, just 11. Edmonton's top 5 with 28 to illustrate Bob's point. Lead pass picked off, cleared back, Max Domi. Gave it up to Timmins, then got it back. Makes a move around Connor Brown. Hits the line with speed. Bobby McManus shot off the post. That beat Skinner. Hit the post and stayed out. Vasily Podkolzin. Brown lofts it toward the net. Wall scoots it over to Morgan Riley after laying it to rest, and it's wedged through the neutral zone. David Kampf makes sure to get it in deep behind Kulak, and Edmonton will reset behind its own net. Evan Bouchard in control of the puck.
A lot of hesitation in Edmonton's game right now, whereas the Leafs are playing hard, direct, and fast.
Bouchard right to left. Lead pass on target for Matthias Janmark. Able to work his way through Simone Benoit. Now Camp comes over to disrupt the cycle and allows Stephen Lawrence to race it up the left-hand side. Lawrence also won a cup in Florida a year ago. Leafs get it in deep. Bouchard to Brett Kulak. He'll rush the puck up to the red line. Avoid a hip check from McCabe. Take a sharp angle shot that's deflected wide of the net. Lawrence picks it up, does not get out. Janmark played it into the high slot area. Here's Kasperi Kapanen, protecting the puck and doing it well. Giving it up for Bouchard. Tried to wrist it down low, but telegraphed where he was going with the puck. Jeff Skinner was able to keep it alive momentarily and draw a penalty. And that's good work by Jeff Skinner. A holding call, hooking rather, against Toronto. They got caught out with their 4th line, and Jeff Skinner, who scored a couple goals lately, able to draw the hook.
Benoit's been laying the lumber all game long, and he finally got called on the heave goal there in the hook. Now, part of the Oilers' problems is they've only won 43% of the draws in this game, Jack.
We got some people listening to us from Poland tonight, Bob, enjoying the broadcast. Ashton and the boys say hello to you and I. So, maybe that cheers will lead to some good luck for the Oilers. Draisaitl off the draw. The puck trickles on net. Flicked into the corner by Wall. Here's Hyman giving it up for Bouchard. Nugent Hopkins. Bouchard doesn't shoot. Gives it up. McDavid. Right face-off dot. Hyman net front presence. Draisaitl lingering beneath the goal line. Nugent Hopkins top of the circle. Out to Bouchard. High slot. McDavid top of the left circle. Draisaitl in his office. Centering pass. And Nugent Hopkins could not finish. Gave it to Draisaitl. Open is McDavid. Tried to give it up, and a poke check by Matthews forces Edmonton back. McDavid, high slot, Bouchard. McDavid, deep left circle. Gives it up, Nugent Hopkins in the bumper roll. Now it's McDavid, tried to center, deflected in front. Hyman slammed it off the outside of the right post, it looked to me, Bob.
Yep.
Bouchard to Nugent Hopkins loads and fires, and a glove save made by Wall, who was able to find that puck through traffic. And Edmonton had some good looks there. Minute 7 left on the Atco power play as the Oilers look to get on the board, trailing 3-0.
This could be a game if Edmonton's chasing and it's not out of reach. It's 3-0 right now, or you may see personnel blocked out about 22 to 24 minutes. You might see 24 to 26 minutes tonight for McDavid and Leon.
Again, no game until Tuesday. That'll be the front end of a road back-to-back. St. Louis, the opposition. Oilers beat the Blues earlier this season by a count of 4-2.
Blues got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, 5-0.
It was not close in Denver.
Every time it looks like St. Louis is set to make a run, they take a step back. They haven't won 3 in a row all year. Tough to make the playoffs that way.
I don't think they had even 20 shots on goal that game, John.
Here's Draisaitl against David Kampf. Face-off win. A give-up and a wrist shot stopped against McDavid by Joseph Wall. Rebound Draisaitl. Don't mind the shot there. Served up off the boards to Bouchard. Now McDavid top of the left circle. Dangling. Jitterbugging his way through a screen from Draisaitl. Ends up top of the circles. McDavid gives it up. Draisaitl, one-timer, and Wall was there. Made the save, and the puck was played with a high stick. 45 seconds left in the man advantage for Edmonton, and Chris Knobloch will keep that top unit out there.
The only thing I'll say about what's happening between the two power plays, the Oilers are getting shots from the flanks, but they're not getting direct shots from 30 to 40 feet out that are tough to control the rebounds. And Toronto's had 2, and there's been spillage on both that's led to 2 power play goals in this game.
David Kampf against Leon Draisaitl. Repositioned by the linesman, and now the faceoff squirts out to the slot. Bouchard gave it up. McDavid loads, doesn't shoot though. Poked away, but not out of the zone. Bouchard knocks it down. McDavid across. Draisaitl whiffed on a one-timer. McCabe got over there, punched it off the plexi. It comes off the boards, and now it's Matthew Knies dangling and making a move toward the middle of the ice. He ran into traffic in the form of Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Bouchard lays it off. McDavid in over the line. A shot and a blocked shot by goaltender Joseph Wall. Kind of fought it off with a wax-on maneuver with his left arm. And McDavid's one-man bid to get the Oilers on the board dies. Nurseable fired in from center. Edmonton has changed, and the power play about to come to an end. Corey Perry plowing his way through behind the net. One-timer ripped wide by Nurse. Rebound off the side of the net. It was sitting there for Jeff Skinner, and he couldn't pop it home. Back to 5-on-5 now. Jeff Skinner with control of the puck against Riley. Remember, he drew the penalty. And now Corey Perry punished against the boards by Connor Timmins. Riley and Skinner engage. And the puck came free to Benoit. Here's Stephen Lawrence behind the net. This fourth line for Toronto took the penalty that allowed Edmonton to get on the power play, but while the Leafs are 2 for 2, the Oilers are 0 for 2 on the man advantage. Toronto's offside, coming over the line left to right, and we will take time out. 6 1/2 minutes have been played here in the second period at Rogers Place, and Toronto has a 3-0 lead on the Oilers Radio Network. 3-0 hockey game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, despite the fact the Oilers have outshot the visitors 20-14. Toronto comes in having scored 3 goals in their last 3 games. They got 3 in the first 13 minutes this afternoon, 2 of which came on the power play. Edmonton has had 2 power plays, failed to convert. And it's 3-0 Toronto. Face off in the neutral zone. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you. Tavares won the draw. Pacioretty pumps it in for Toronto. Nylander, who opened the scoring, wound around the boards. Kapanen looks to clear. Curls it back to Troy Stetcher. Got himself in trouble, but was able to reverse it over. And Brett Kulak then hits the on-rushing Troy Stetcher to fire it in from center. Ekholm and Klingberg sat out yesterday's practice, and only Klingberg was able to play today. And we know Ekholm had been sick earlier this year and gutted it out, so it must be significant. It's that time of year. The temperature has changed significantly. Here's a turnover by Edmonton in the neutral zone, and Nylander dashing in on the right-hand side. Skates away from Kapanen and lets one fly that's elevated up and out of play. And what I mean by that is after hovering near 0 for most of December and January, temperatures have plunged into the minus 20 nether regions. 3-0 for the Leafs, 12:42 to play in the second.
And the Oilers have dried up offensively on this homestand too, Jack. It's got to be stated. Well, no, they didn't have Connor McDavid. Game against Washington played pretty well. Outshot the Caps significantly, but only scored a couple goals in that game.
Lost 34-14 were the shots in that net. And then, really, the defense, as we've talked about, coming into today, Bob, 10 in a row, 3 goals or less. It's incumbent upon Skinner to keep it at 3 right now for Edmonton to have a shot.
Edmonton needs some offense here from some other sources other than McDavid and Draisaitl.
Matthews and Matthew Knies working down low beneath the Oiler goal line. Marner punched it free. Knies, who also has a goal in this game, feeds the point. Chris Tanev through the wickets of Marner, and now Marner high slot. Knies in front. Matthews turned, couldn't get a shot away. He was dumped to the ice surface by Zach Hyman, and barreling down the middle of the ice is Nugent Hopkins. Loading and firing is Arvidsson. That was tipped wide.
He's the guy that's got to get going. Arvidsson, he is fighting it offensively, to say the least.
Did a good job keeping it in against Max Domi, but as it rolls to the other wing, Morgan Riley will fire one up the boards. Out of the reach of Domi, and the Oilers take control. A pass put up the right-hand side for Corey Perry. Heading to the net, Perry sits there as Draisaitl's centering pass is intercepted by Mitch Marner at the end of his shift. He conservatively lays it at for McMahon. Sharp angle shot kicked aside by Stuart Skinner. Kulak on the puck for Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl, middle of the ice. McDavid and Perry ran into one another. The puck popped out to center. Draisaitl regains possession, then looks for McDavid. Draisaitl came in, leading the league with 36 goals and 76 points, good enough for second. Here's Perry mashing it back in for the Oilers. Draisaitl picks it up on the right half boards as the fans in the building trading chants. Go Oilers, go Leafs. Back and forth they go, but Toronto's partisans feeling good about their chances. Nick Robertson with the Leafs up 3-0. Takes a shot that's blocked by Klingberg. Pontus Holmberg on it for Toronto. Put it down low for David Kampf. He'll come off the goal line. Timmins across to Morgan Riley. Down low for Stephen Lawrence. As we approach the midway point of this contest, Edmonton finishing up a 6-game homestand. The Toronto Maple Leafs opening a 4-game trip. Holmberg raked from his grasp, continued to battle, and it squirted out to Podkolzin. Chipped ahead by Connor Brown. Subtle interference from Timmins picks him off, and Riley will leave it for Connor Timmins, who plays it up the boards for Lawrence behind Holmberg. And off that turnover, here's Connor Brown. Centering pass broken up. Podkolzin a shot, and a save made by Wall. A dreadful turnover by Lawrence. Wall held on to the puck too long, and now we'll have a face-off in the D zone. But that Toronto fourth line has been a little shaky. Took a penalty last time, and Lawrence, an ill-advised maneuver, set Edmonton up with a partial 3-on-1, and Bob, the Oilers didn't get much out of it.
No, and that's been a reoccurring theme. They didn't get much out of their 2 power plays, and they haven't had much going right off of their scoring chances off transition. And part of it is the goaltending right now. Wall's locked down, but the Oilers, they're not hot offensively. They're going through a bit of a cold patch.
Adam Henrique wins the faceoff. Brown centering pass, sitting in the blue paint momentarily, and then taken out by William Nylander. He'll dart up the left-hand side. Back defensively is Ty Emberson. Nylander turns and twists, redirected by Tavares at the feet of Skinner, and walloped up the middle of the ice by a convergence of Edmonton players. Chris Tanev back to gather for Toronto. He'll shoot it in from the red line. Pacioretty after the puck. Can't get there. Coming off back-to-back Achilles surgeries. Here's a steal. A dish to Nylander in the slot. A backhander to save made by Skinner. Rebound. Tavares pounding away. Couldn't get a shot away. And finally it trickles to the corner. Well played by Darnell Nurse. Tavares back to the point. Benoit to Nylander. Tavares loading up. High slot. He'll move it over to Timmins. Bad pass. And now here comes Kapanen to Jeff Skinner to the net. Fakes the slapper. Wraparound effort. And it died. Rebound in the slot. Skinner wide open. What a save. Joseph Wall. Tremendous stop on Jeff Skinner. Point blank. Oiler crowd and rose in unison. Here's Kapanen to the net, stripped from behind, and as it's opened up, the puck is punched back through the middle. Teams exchanging turnovers. Kapanen waiting. Both coaches unhappy. A drive by Bouchard, blocked away by Wall. Craig Berube's thinking, I got a 3-0 lead, and this is how my team is treating it. Here's Kulak moving it out to Bouchard, a slapper score.
only goal this year. But the Oilers kept the play alive at the Maple Leaf blue line. Kapanen with a real strong shift. And it was Kulak across to Bouchard as Edmonton was completing the change. Long-range bomber. And that was hammered. I don't think he got a PCM mark in front.
Well, the Leafs were flirting with disaster for a while there. Mitch Marner from center ice will shoot it in. 3-1 our score. Nugent Hopkins sees the puck pop into the slot, and Stuart Skinner will fall on it. 8:15 to play in the second period. 3-1 for the Leafs, but Evan Bouchard has woken the crowd with a blast from long range. Arvidsson and Kulak are the helpers, and we've got a 3-1 hockey game. We're live at Rogers Place, Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 8:25 to play, second period. 3-1 Toronto. Evan Bouchard has put Edmonton on the board momentarily. Kulak and Arvidsson with the assists. And so the Oilers finally cracked the wall that had been established by Wall. 23 consecutive saves before that Bouchard cannon beat him. Off the draw, won by Matthews. Tanev down low. Riley and Matthews able to contain the puck on the left half boards, and now wrestled free, and here comes Edmonton. Zach Hyman plowing his way forward, but Marner reeled him in easily. Nice. Jackknifed over the boards by Darnell Nurse. Matthews kicked it back to Marner, and Chris Tanev enters the zone for Toronto. Wristed down low. That's going to be picked up and centered. Intended for Matthews, broken up. Pacioretty couldn't get it to him. Continues to battle back behind the net. Pacioretty ends up prone, and the Oilers carve it out of the corner. Nugent Hopkins to Arvidsson, who will hit the Toronto line with speed, heading for the net on his backhand. Had a stick lifted by McCabe. Arvidsson pulls up right circle. Checked by Tavares. Lost the handle. Spilled by Benoit. Pacioretty could not get it out. Bouchard poked it away. A shot from the side of the net. McDavid hunting down the rebound and eventually curled up the middle to Tavares and softly sent up the right-hand side. Perry back out there with Draisaitl and McDavid. Draisaitl beats one man, and then Perry picked him off. No penalty called. Shot Kulak, and that missed the net. Caromed off the glass all the way out. Held in by Bouchard. Loading, firing, and that time he just missed the net. Trying for that same spot inside the left goalpost. Kulak watches as Bouchard uncorks the blast that was blocked, and here come the Leafs. You okay over there, partner? Icing call whistled against Toronto.
Perry's going straight off.
Yes, I know.
He is tough.
I could tell by your grimace. Was that you or Perry?
Well, no, I'm just saying. I thought it initially got him in a more sensitive spot. I believe you used the term nether regions earlier. But it did not. And we know this about Bouchard. He could hurt you when he hits.
Perry set a pick on Pacioretty, who went tumbling to the ice on that last sequence. Oilers, offensive zone draw. Skinner elevated to play with Draisaitl and McDavid here. And I think it's because of the little battles he's been winning the last few games. Off the faceoff, squirts on net, and left for Benoit by Joseph Wall. Chipped up to McMahon, who turns and fires it in deep for Toronto. Line change for the Leafs. 6:25 to go in the second period. Bouchard hits Draisaitl down the right-hand side against McCabe. A centering pass broken up by the sliding Tanev. Kulak across to Bouchard. One touch back to Kulak from Draisaitl. Return to Draisaitl, top of the right circle. Draisaitl steps up to McDavid on the goal line. Tried to chip it back in front. That's going to be held in by Bouchard through one man, McMahon, but not the second player, Tanev. Up to Stephen Lawrence. Loads and fires. Took too long getting it off and had that shot deflect out of play. 5:55 to go in the second period. A period in which the Oilers have outshot the Leafs by a count of 12-4. And they've got the only goal in the period as well. It belongs to Evan Bouchard, but the lead belongs to Toronto. 3-1 Leafs with 6 to play in period 2. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 3-1 Toronto, late second period. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with a call. As the Oilers finishing up a 6-game homestand. Off the draw, you've got Nick Robertson pursuing that puck for Toronto. Reaching forward is Bobby McMahon, poked away, and Connor Brown will dump it in for the Oilers. Timmins worked over in the corner, got it free to Morgan Riley, back through center, and Emerson off balance, turned it over in the neutral zone. Robertson a shot. That was deflected, caromed off the corner boards, and Connor Brown will carry it out for Toronto. Had it pried loose for a moment by McMahon, and then ultimately funneled it back in. Riley back to collect for Toronto. Timmins up the right-hand side. Robertson was hemmed in. Oilers shovel it down low. I want to see Toronto clear back to the red. Brown will give it up, and now Stetcher waits for it from Emberson. Lead pass, Nugent Hopkins off the toe of his stick. Timmins to the right-hand side. Nyes ducked around a hit from Stetcher. Got in on Emberson, drove him against the boards. Emberson took the hit to make a play. No one gets hit in the NHL more than Ty Emberson. Here's Austin Matthews into the zone. The puck popped free to Nyes. Could not locate Matthews on the return offering, and it's Arvidsson. Emberson ushered it up the right-hand side, and now you've got Victor Arvidsson outskating Marner. A shot and a glove save made by Joseph Wall. 4:38 to go in the second period. Bob, the Oilers keep coming, even though they trail 3-1.
The only play there for Arvidsson, he tried to elevate the puck short side. I mean, easy glove save for Wall, but he banks one, drives it off the...
Used the pads as a rebound.
That's the only way the Oilers were going to score in that situation. The ball's been locked in here, and it took a boost bomb to beat him.
2 road games next week. Tuesday in St. Louis, that'll be a 6 o'clock Mountain Time start. And then Bob Stauffer will have about 34 cans of Red Bull to get ready for that 8:50 puck drop on Wednesday. Here's a steal by McDavid against Nylander off the draw. Unable to convert, he was ultimately stripped. I think you and I are in agreement, Bob. If we could do away with the 8:50 local puck drops, we would in a heartbeat. You and I are getting too old to hang around for those kind of games.
Young at heart.
Here's Darnell Nurse back behind the net. Pat Giretti to Morgan Riley. I'll remind you of that when you're kvetching.
I'd never do that.
8:55 centering pass intended for Nylander, broken up. Now Matthews tried to go down low to Pat Giretti. He got dumped to the ice again. Nylander nudged it free for Matthews from behind the net, a wraparound on a save made by Stuart Skinner. Then a one-timer, and Matthews whiffs on a feed from Nylander. Racing back to collect will be Connor Timmins. Draisaitl knew where he was going, but still couldn't stop it. Nyes to Matthews, middle of the ice. Matthew Nyes. Drag move to Matthews, didn't get much on it. And that tip is swarmed under by Stuart Skinner with 3:38 to go in the second period. First push in a while for Toronto as Edmonton has dominated much of this second period.
Well, at least they'll take that 5v5 shift against McDavid and Draisaitl. A lot of zone time.
Wonder whether we see Hyman with McDavid and Draisaitl for the third period.
Didn't mind Alexa Kapanen up there once with McDavid and Draisaitl. Kapanen can skate.
And he's motivated today, playing against one of his former teams. Of course, the club with whom he broke in. Drafted by Pittsburgh, but broke in with Toronto. Ended up in Pittsburgh anyway. Here's Adam Henrique. Very close to a trip there as it was fired back in by Benoit, taken by Brett Kulak off the end boards. Marner pursues. Kulak skates away easily and hits Jeff Skinner, whose play is noticeably improved on the back half of this homestand. But there he got belted by Jake McCabe, and here come the Leafs the other way. Shot in by Matthew Nyes, taken by Evan Bouchard. McCabe is a guy I underestimated early in his career. He's turned out to be a better, more physical shutdown player than I ever thought him capable of.
He played on 2 bad teams, Jack, and sometimes on bad teams you get bad raps.
Good point. 2:50 to play, second period. 3-1 Toronto. Bouchard to Nugent Hopkins, gathering himself, hits the line with speed, shoots it in around the boards, picked up by Emberson, bottled up immediately though. Lead pass out of the reach of Camp, taken by Stetcher, carried back in by Arvidsson, knocked off balance by Holmberg. Worked up the right-hand side to David Camp, put too much on it. This is going to be icing against Toronto with 2:26 to go in this second period. And let's see what Edmonton elects to do here. Have an opportunity to go to the top line for the offensive zone draw, and they'll utilize that maneuver.
Well, Joseph Wall's been on his game. He stopped 26 and 27.
Here's Hyman with McDavid and Draisaitl. By the way, we've got Levels in the background. That's from Avicii. Check out Avicii's documentary on Netflix, Bob. You'd enjoy it. I know it's not your kind of music, but you'd enjoy the doc.
Watching the new one on OJ.
Oh, all right. That's certainly a subject with which you're familiar. Off the face-off, here's Darnell Nurse. Klingberg, snapped by McDavid over to Nurse, who's open left circle and then fired wide, and that clatters off the quarter boards all the way down the ice into the Edmonton zone. Toronto will get a change, the long change in the second period, but that puck's traveling the length of the ice. They were able to execute easily. Klingberg works his way in against McCabe. Around the boards, it's Tanev. And that's shoveled out by Pacioretty smartly up the right-hand side. Pacioretty now in his 17th season. Oilers a reset in their own zone. Nurse pestered by Pacioretty. Nurse hails from Ontario, but it's Hamilton, not Toronto. McDavid hits the line, drop pass. Draisaitl snapshot and a save made by Wall. McDavid tried to bank it off the Toronto goaltender, unsuccessful. In his career, McDavid 37 points in 24 games against the Leafs. And he's had 3 3-pointers in his last 5. Shovels inside, Draisaitl a shot, and that clipped the side of the net. Tavares was the first to see it. Tanev got to it first, and then Nylander turned it over. Here's Zach Hyman off the turnover by Nylander. Kulak a shot from Draisaitl. That deflected wide, and Toronto really on its heels right now. Edmonton has him in the spin cycle. McDavid to Draisaitl, tracked by Tavares. Puck comes free. McCabe poised, got it to Pacioretty, and he nailed it off the stick of Kulak back to center. And the top line reluctantly will change, but Toronto felt the pressure that time. Oilers gain the line again. Here's Kasperi Kapanen dropping it off. One-timer and a save made by Joseph Wall. Toronto needs a clear desperately. Here's Kapanen left circle. The Leafs are tired. Arvidsson cross ice, open man. It's Arvidsson taking a shot, blocked, and Tavares wasting no time in icing the puck for Toronto. Just a chance to alleviate the pressure more than anything else. Tanev will get a new stick, 29 seconds to go. Another offensive zone draw for Edmonton, with Toronto's players absolutely gassed on the ice right now.
Well, the Oilers are up to 31 shots on goal. But both teams have one even strength goal. Simply put, Leafs 2 for 2 in the power play, Oilers 0 for 2. Right now, that's the difference.
Shot 17-6 in the second period, but Toronto built a 3-0 lead, and the Oilers have only gotten one back. Bouchard, a ripper. Nugent-Hopkins off the draw. Toronto with a chance to clear. McCabe didn't get enough on it. Tavares is overwhelmed. Finally, it's backhanded down the ice. This will be another icing call against Toronto. 18 seconds to go. Let's see whether Chris Knobloch taps his top players on the shoulder. He will. He knows he's got Toronto exhausted. Pacioretty is bent over as he comes back down the ice. The Leafs need a face-off win and a clear, or at least to kind of kill the play in the corner. Tavares against Draisaitl. Must be exhausted. Draisaitl wins the face-off. Kulak maintains the zone. Directs the pass to Bouchard. Down low to McDavid. 10 seconds. McDavid to Bouchard. Loading. Firing. Save made by Wall. Rebound. Shoveled back to Bouchard. McDavid got twisted up with the puck. Bouchard had it blocked, and it was nudged out of the zone. And then Bouchard took a swing at Robertson with his stick. I don't know whether they're going to call anything here. Robertson came back at him, and I think Peter McDougall is going to say discretion, the better part of valor. We're going to have no call. Because Bouchard kind of wound up with that stick a little bit. And the Oilers, despite 18 second period shots, are only
making a 2-goal game, and it's in the net. And Edmonton's had no puck luck at all tonight. And the Leafs have had a little, but they've earned some too, and that's part of the reason why they're up 4-1.
Matthews in his 599th career game will draw his second assist of the afternoon. Mitch Marner has now scored 16 goals this season. He's sitting on 499 career assists. So Marner
from Matthews. Funneled in by Max Pacioretty off the center ice draw. The Leafs, with a 4-1 lead, give Matthew Nyes a second assist on the scoring play. He's got a goal and a helper, and the Oilers are guilty of icing, and the opening minute of this third period has gone about as poorly as Oiler partisans could have hoped.
Well, Nugent Hopkins won only his second face-off of the game. The Oilers got the puck deep. They tried to seal the wall, and Edmonton got caught in a back pedal, and they just let the Leafs gain the wide. And for whatever reason, against certain players, and Marner's one of them, he's had a lot of success against Edmonton. Because the Oilers don't gap on him, at least during the regular season they don't. And I haven't had a chance to play him in the playoffs.
McMahon deflects an outlet from Darnell Nurse out of play.
I was going to say, Patrick Kane's another player that at times we see the Oilers backpedaling and not try to gap and tighten
Well, he's got the most points per game against Edmonton of anyone in the league.
But the issue is it hasn't changed as the Oilers have gotten better, and frankly, Patrick Kane's gone to teams quite not as good as the Hawks of 2010 to 2015.
Well, they say matchups make fights, and for whatever reason, this fight has been lopsided in favor of Toronto as long as you and I have been doing the games together.
Yeah.
Off the face-off, Edmonton comes up with a puck. Perry had it deflected back into the zone. Bobby McMahon immediately lost it as it was poke-checked away by John Klingberg. Here's Darnell Nurse. His cross-seam delivery on target for Perry. Rifles to Draisaitl, a shot booted away by goaltender Joseph Wall. The rebound to McDavid. Nurse gives it up. Draisaitl tried to center. Nurse a shot. That blocked. Toronto's down a stick here. Quickly scrambling for new lumber as Robertson back into the play just in time to see the Leafs intercept the pass from Nurse. And Domi scrambles to center and dumps it in. And now you'll see the Leafs really try to lock it down, that they're back up by 3 goals. 4-1, 90 seconds gone by, final period. Adam Henrique lofts it deep into the zone. Kasperi Kapanen handles that lob wedge-ish dump in. And then eventually Jeff Skinner. Henrique stumbled, couldn't make a play on the puck. Simone Benoit got it up to Pacioretty, but it did not leave the zone. Adam Henrique back on the puck for the Oilers. Jeff Skinner, double team, run off by Benoit. Benoit and Skinner trying to induce a call, short side pass to Henrique, and then off the tape of Skinner and carried back the other way by William Nylander. Hits the line and shovels it down low. Troy Stetcher skating away from Pacioretty, chipping it off the boards, and the Leafs will go D-to-D. Morgan Riley with control of the puck for Toronto. Austin Matthews around Emberson, tried to center. The puck ricocheted right back to him. He sat down on it and then managed to get back up against Connor Brown, who nudges it back to center ice. Riley to Chris Tannen. Here's Matthew Nyes. You should have tried that over on the old Southside Athletic Club. When in doubt, just sit on the puck there, Bob. He might have elevated your way into a prominent role in the Western Hockey League. Here's Tannen.
Not when you lack the speed, talent, agility, coordination, toughness, character, and discipline they've gotten there, Jack.
Chris Tannen dumped it in. Evan Bouchard. I couldn't help teeing you up for that one. It's been a while since I've heard it, which means I must have missed your last show and a half. Grabbed by David Kampf off the dump in. Behind the net. Zach Hyman pursuing. Up the right-hand side. Evan Bouchard, left-hand side. Directed by Kulak, back to Bouchard. Stephen Lawrence challenging Kulak, and he'll regroup. 3.5 gone by in the third period. Nugent Hopkins to Victor Arvidsson. Curled back to Kulak, a shot. And that's caught cleanly by Joseph Wall. No traffic in front. 16:21 to play in regulation. The Leafs have 4 goals on 19 shots. The Oilers 1 on 34.
Yeah, it's been a stellar goaltending performance from Joseph Wall. We got to state that. The Oilers haven't broken through in the power play. And Toronto's got a couple breaks. I think that's fair to say, Jack. They've had some puck bounces. Maybe not so much on what they've scored on, but what the Oilers haven't been able to finish off. And, you know, the Leafs only scoring 3 goals in their previous 3 games. They get 2 top 6 forwards back. They were due for some offensive breaks, and they've earned them in this game, and that's part of the reason why they're up. They were obviously the better team in the first period.
The Leafs are not only 20-0 when they lead after 2, but they're also 20-0 when they score 4 goals, Bob. They haven't lost a game this year when they get to 4. We said that Skinner needed to keep it at 3. Well, Toronto's got the 4th. That may be enough cushion, even with Edmonton bound to make another push or 2. McDavid got it in deep. Here's a push coming right now. Draisaitl against Tanev. Fished off down low for Corey Perry. McDavid back to the point. Ripped by Klingberg. Deflected away from Draisaitl by Tanev. And then Draisaitl's cross-seamer too much on it. Eluded McDavid and everyone else. Klingberg back in his own zone to collect for Edmonton. 15:35 on the game clock. 4-1 for Toronto. Klingberg biding his time and pressure from Nyes. A dart up the middle. McDavid to Leon Draisaitl in over the Toronto line. Pursued by Matthews, who forced him off the puck, and Toronto got it out. Troy Stetcher gives way to Emberson, and now Kasperi Kapanen allows the full line change to take place. Emberson up through center, banged into hard by Mitch Marner. Joseph Woll is just his second full season in the National Hockey League, it must be noted. Matthews to Marner. Skittering to his right, and he's got crunched by Adam Henrique. Troy Stetcher rolled over to make a play up the wall to Kasperi Kapanen, pinching down as McCabe. Kapanen on to Emberson. Weaving his way to the red line, he'll fire it in deep. Chris Tanev bobbled the puck in the corner, now Jeff Skinner. Toronto muscles it loose. Jake McCabe in close quarters. Grabbed by Skinner for a moment. Kapanen lost sight of it and then recovered and slashed it free for Jeff Skinner. New life for the Oilers, but Skinner lost the handle behind the net. Max Domi can't get it out, and all of a sudden Toronto's hemmed in here. Wall will make a save short side against Skinner. And as he puts that puck to rest for his 34th save of the night, Toronto will get a much-needed change. Edmonton had Toronto again in the spin cycle, but Jeff Skinner's lobbying for a call here. Felt like a stick was held. You don't see him get after the officials, and now he and Jake McCabe go after one another. They played together for a short time in Buffalo, did they not?
They did.
I don't mind what Jeff Skinner has brought to the table in the last 3 games he's dressed for.
Yeah, are they looking at... No.
Last 4, actually.
Yeah. Well, he's got to play more desperate. Because at some point, Jack, Stan Bowman's going to add. And it may be a scenario where he adds, and maybe he adds a center, and it pushes the center to the wing. And knocks Jeff Skinner out of a box.
Well, it might not be Jeff Skinner if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Yep.
Off the draw. Return to the point by Hyman, except no one was there. Stephen Lawrence tapped it away from Kulak, who was able to retrieve that puck and get it to Evan Bouchard. Now Nugent Hopkins, some open ice. Gives it up for Zach Hyman to the net. Left circle, shot, score! And Edmonton's right back in the game. Zach Hyman, his 18th, 4-2, with still almost 14 minutes remaining. Arvidsson.
Yep. I was going to say the play starts all the way back. Kulak jumps up, and Bouchard recognizes and filters one up the middle. That starts the transition. They pop the puck up the ice to Nugent Hopkins, who leads a rush up the ice to Zach Hyman. Nugent Hopkins drives the lane, and a shot.
That's one that you'd like back if you're Joseph Woll, but I thought Arvidsson and Nugent Hopkins driving the net gave Woll something to think about. Arvidsson was at the right post, and Nugent Hopkins skated right through him. So he had to think that Hyman might go to one of the 2 options available. He didn't, and the shot fooled him. That's 18 for Zach Hyman. But I agree with you, Bob. He's got to come up with that save, typically. Matthew Nyes unable to get it in deep off the center ice draw.
And tonight he has been.
William Nylander. So now Edmonton perks up. Back in the game at 4-2. Lead pass out of the reach of McCabe. Nugent Hopkins. Bouchard will pick up the assist. Bouchard with a goal and a helper tonight. He now has 15 points in his last 17 games. Funneled down low by Matthias Janmark.
Toronto chisels it free out of the corner. McCabe to Tavares, and now Janmark hammering Connor Timmins as the puck rolls free in the neutral zone. But Colson got through McCabe, heading for the net. Wrist shot denied by Wall. Rebound Corey Perry. And Edmonton buzzing now. Perry knocked off the puck, but McDavid chips it out. Nurse fires, and that stayed out. Well, Edmonton's gotten the secondary scoring tonight. Now let's see what McDavid and Draisaitl contribute. Draisaitl checked off the puck. Matthews beat McDavid coming off the right half boards, and Toronto's out of the zone. McCabe had his pass tipped in deep. Nurse up the right-hand side. You've got Draisaitl. Rink wide, Connor McDavid. Without a point thus far tonight. Kicks it back to Nurse. Fires into a crowd, blocked. And Marner serves it safely back to center. That's where that fourth goal, Bob, is so huge.
Absolutely. And it wasn't a great one.
4-2. Here's McDavid dishing off, tried to center, settled down by Nyes, did not get it out. 12 minutes to play. Klingberg to Bouchard. McDavid right circle around Matthews. Behind the net, shovels it off. Perry settles it down. Bouchard, wrist shot, wide, rebound. McDavid tried to bank it off Wall, and Wall was ready for that maneuver and will stick that puck in his hip pocket. Edmonton pouring it on here in the third period. Now a 2-1 shot margin, but it's also a 2-1 goal margin. The goals belong to the Leafs. They're up 4-2, 11:47 to play in the third period. Even as Edmonton has outshot Toronto 38-19. The Oilers down by 2. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 11:47 remaining third period. Tack on 2 more shots for Edmonton. A whopping 40 for the game, 19 for Toronto. See our buddy Trent Brown just on the Jumbotron with Nicole.
Oh, nicely done. He's your buddy, too.
Well, I know, but he was there. I mean, in a perfect world, a little more of Nicole, less of Trent, but we'll take both on the screen.
More Trent than there used to be, I can tell you that.
Connor McDavid, he would tell me that there's more of Bob than there used to be, too.
That's a given.
This shot in McCabe had his pocket picked by Draisaitl. Loose on the goal line. Matthews slapped it away from Draisaitl. Was slammed off the boards and out by Mitch Marner. That'll roll on net. So Skinner's got to play it. No icing against Toronto. And Bob, you were just talking about the 5-on-5 shifts against Edmonton's top line. Another one that Toronto will take all day.
Soft.
And it starts to shrink the amount of time. But a turnover by McMahon. Here's Kapanen, wrist shot. Enrique took too long, had it blocked, kept alive by Skinner. He fires, and that just missed, going high blocker on goaltender Joseph Wall. But the Oilers have the Leafs hemmed in. Prying it loose was Max Domi up to McMahon. This time he'll make certain of a clear. Sending it ahead, Nick Robertson. I think it was barely onside. I know what you're thinking about. A one-timer rifled on net by Max Domi, and a good save made by Skinner. Domi has just 3 goals all season long. His goal scoring has really dried up in the second half of his career. Sent ahead. Case in point, he had 9 all of last season. Nugent Hopkins to Troy Stetcher, up to Victor Arvidsson. Puck comes free. Tavares tried to send one to the middle of the ice. That was broken up. And eventually, the Oilers come up with it. Stetcher to Klingberg. He'll send it up the left-hand side, but that's too much. And kind of an unforced error there against the veteran Klingberg. Is just his second game in an Oiler uniform. Second game since November of 2023.
Well, it's pretty clear Victor Arvidsson hasn't played a lot of North American football there because he jumped too early on the lob. He waits.
So a face-off to Stuart Skinner's right-hand side. Tavares against Nugent Hopkins. Speaking of Swedes, how about the next time the Oilers take on Vancouver?
Good luck with that.
Just
the way we're headed.
Just write down Pettersson in all 18 lineup spots. You'll be right nearly 20% of the time.
That was a big couple deals yesterday for the Canucks. They get a chance for a reset. On paper, I still think they have the 8th best team in the West. We'll see.
Here's Zach Hyman hitting the line, loading, tried to chip it down low, broken up, driving the left-hand side. The 8th
best personnel grouping you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Thus far, they have not played as a team at all. Down low in the corner.
Calgary has.
Jammed off the boards, absolutely. And Calgary added two.
Yeah, they got better.
Farabee and Frost from Philadelphia on to Calgary. And they're getting a better year out of Jonathan Huberdeau. Shot in by Nugent Hopkins. He deserves some credit, too. Here's Stephen Lawrence. Sending it ahead. Pontus Holmberg in over the line. Trying to get through Evan Bouchard. Will control in the corner. 9 minutes to play. Toronto 4, Edmonton 2. The puck lodged in the Edmonton zone right now. This obviously the kind of shift that Toronto will take a few more times down the stretch. Oilers hemmed in. Finally Bouchard ahead to Draisaitl. Got through Lawrence. Now McDavid against Tannen. McDavid button hooks. Wade centers. And that went through untouched. Bouchard to Draisaitl. Good matchup here for Edmonton. Line 1 against line 4. Wrist shot deflected. Perry on it. Gives it up for Brett Kulak. Challenged up top by Holmberg. Now a shot by Perry. He scores. A seeing eye wrister from up top. And the Oilers have drawn within 4-3. 8:27 still remaining.
What a year Corey Perry has having, Jack.
That's his 10th.
Just a long-range bomber. Shot through the screen. And it is game on in a big way, Jack. Big way. Now it's on.
Corey Perry's 439th career goal. McDavid crowding Joseph Wall. He had to respect him sitting there camped out at the side of the net. And Perry beat him. And that's 2 shots in a row where Wall probably would like another look. Timmins fires it in, and now the Oiler crowd in an uproar. Matthews, sharp angle shot handled by Skinner with 8:09 to play. But this building is humming. Rogers Place, downtown Edmonton, 8:09 to play, third period, and Edmonton right back in it. It's 4-3 as Corey Perry has his 10th, and we'll take a timeout live from Rogers Place, the Oilers Radio Network. Corey Perry has passed Gary Roberts, sitting at 439 goals for his career. Next up, Rick Tocchet with 440. And that'll move him into a tie for 74th. He could be top 70 by the end of the year easily. Matthews wins the faceoff. Riley a shot, and that's eaten up by Stuart Skinner. 8:04 to play in the third period. Toronto's 4-1 lead here in the third has been whittled down to 4-3 as Hyman and Perry have scored. And all this without a point from Connor McDavid.
And Nugent Hopkins is having a tough night in the circle. He was 1-7 through 2 periods, and Matthews has just taken him to the woodshed here, Jack.
Matthews against Nugent Hopkins again. Draisaitl and Kulak with the assists on Perry's goal, so give Draisaitl 77 points on the season. Face off. Edmonton comes up with it this time. Stetcher lobs it down the middle, swatted back the other way toward Mitch Marner. He's got it for Toronto. Edmonton is outshot the Leafs 42-23. John Tavares barrels his way into the zone. Leafs led 3-0 and 4-1. The Oilers back within 4-3. Tavares crowding. Here's Matthias Janmark giving it up for Troy Stetcher. Fires a dart to Emberson in over the line. Emberson still looking for his first goal as an Oiler. Lifted off the stick of Connor Brown without a goal in his last 20 games. Stetcher shovels down low. Punch free to Max Pacioretty. And here come the Leafs. Slow developing 3-on-2. Morgan Riley had his pocket picked. And here come the Oilers. Connor Brown crisscrossing, shooting, and a kick save made by Joseph Wall. Rebound. You've got Janmark. Lost the handle. Matthews is away for Toronto. He'll gain the Edmonton line. Nurse backs off. A shot high glove. Skinner will corral and freeze it with 6:57 remaining in the third period. An electrified Rogers Place crowd has seen the host Oilers battle to within 4-3.
Jack, given that they don't have Matthias Ekholm, I don't know how much better the Oilers can play 5-on-5 in this game.
2 power play goals for Toronto in the first period. The difference right now. And since the first period, the Oilers have outshot Toronto 29-12. Off the draw. Worked up the right-hand side. Simone Benoit to center ice. Bobby McMahon knocked off his stick by Klingberg. Chipped ahead for Robertson. Flipped back into the Oiler end and dangerously on net as that hopped over Klingberg and almost got through Skinner. Bobby McMahon. Max Domi tried to chop it in front for Robertson. Broken up by Kapanen. And the Oilers, Adam Henrique, through the left-hand side. Bob, I thought you almost turned a shade of skim milk there when that puck trickled in on net. Skinner able to keep it out. Now the Oilers buzzing in the offensive zone. McDavid, a Bouchard, a shot blocked. And a painful one at that. Nick Robertson barely can get up. He's going to go off the ice, putting his weight on one leg. Timmins recognizes, ragged the puck, got it to Benoit, and finally off. You get a dead leg sometimes when you block a shot in that region. Here's Matthews around the boards. Mitch Marner. Matthews curls in front, fires off Skinner. Rebound Marner. Tried to drop it off, and that pass eluded McCabe. Long-range shot by Matthews, easily stopped by Skinner. Here's Bouchard with 5.5 minutes to play. Klingberg up the gut. Here comes Brett Kulak, jumping up and playing a little center. Sending it in deep. Wow. McCabe, right-hand side. Turned over. Oilers with a chance. McDavid strokes to Bouchard. Crossing to Perry. Back to McDavid. Marner unable to disrupt the cycle, but Matthews came over and made a beautiful play to Marner, and the Leafs will break out. That was some kind of play by Matthews.
Bouchard's got to shoot the puck, Jack. He had the puck.
McCabe
gave it up too quick.
In deep for David Kampf. Line change for both clubs. Stephen Lawrence down low for Toronto. Less than 5 to go. It's Edmonton. Able to rake it free. Draisaitl poke checked away. Kampf to Lawrence. Did not unload from the left circle. Elected to keep it on his stick. He'll turn and eventually feather one down low for David Kampf. Against Bouchard. Breaks loose. Gives it up. Timmins. Put it back down low immediately. Pontus Holmberg. Toronto. It's fourth line out there. Controlling is Lawrence. Back down low for Kampf. He'll serve it to Riley. Good shift for the Leafs here. Their depth combo coming up, but now a bit of a miscommunication. Riley dashes over to negate, shovels it to Holmberg, then back to Riley, and the Leafs will get a line change.
Leafs have locked it down a bit here, Jack. They've done a better job defensively since the 4-3 goal.
McCabe to Tavares, mishandled. Stetcher getting through Tavares as Janmark, then got around Benoit, belted by McCabe in the corner. Victor Arvidsson shovels to Connor Brown, short side stuff, and a save made by Wall. The Leafs did not get it out. Darnell Nurse with 3:45 to play, put it down low for Connor Brown. Comes off the boards, dishes off. Nurse waits, shoots just wide of Joseph Wall, and the Leafs are able to come up with a puck. Toronto clears through center. Here's William Nylander dashing in left side. Shoots and a save made. Pacioretty couldn't get to the rebound as it was steered to the corner by Arvidsson. Smart play. 3:20 to go. And now Stetcher on his horse will skate away from traffic. The Oilers will get a line change. Adam Henrique is on the ice as Evan Bouchard quarterbacking for Edmonton. Up the middle, tapped in. Leafs usher it up the left-hand side. Bouchard was hit up high. Skinner turns and fires it off his teammate Adam Henrique. Turned over by Knives. Kasperi Kapanen gives it up. Henrique. Bouchard right point shot deflected. And away come the Leafs. Chipped ahead softly by Marner. Turned over by Toronto. Carried back in by Skinner. He fires and that missed. Short side may have been tipped at the last moment. John Tavares scoots it up through center. With 2.5 to go, the Leafs were well beyond the red line. That should be icing. I'm not sure why that wasn't icing, Bob. I have no idea. Draisaitl kicks it back to McDavid. Jitterbugging his way in. Skinner to the bench. Extra man on. Corey Perry. One-timer sent wide by Draisaitl. Good look. Here's Nurse to Klingberg. Still more than 2 minutes remaining. Toronto 4, Edmonton 3. Down the stretch at Rogers. McDavid left circle. One-timer score. Draisaitl's tied the game. Edmonton's come all the way back from 4-1 down, and it's 4-all.
Absolute synchronicity between Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And the Oilers, as Jack mentioned, what a comeback. What a rally. 3-0 and 4-1 down in this game. Nurse going to have the first point here for John Klingberg.
First point is an Oiler for Klingberg. McDavid puts it on a tee, and Draisaitl makes no mistake, and Toronto's 4-1 lead is gone. Greg Berube's looking at the entry into the offensive zone. I think he's taking a timeout. And he might just be settling his club down, who's seen a 4-1 lead with 14 minutes to play evaporate. They initially were looking at the entry, and then Berube, upon further deliberation, has decided to take a timeout. And I can't say I blame him. His club has lost 3 in a row and has come unraveled here in the final 14 minutes of regulation. The Oilers refused to go quietly. They woke up a bit when Hyman's goal went in. There was more leakage on the Perry goal from distance against Joseph Wall, and now
are they challenging?
They might be.
They are.
Toronto has initiated a coach's challenge that the play was offside prior to the goal.
There's only one way they do that. They know they've got it.
Well, Berube was buying time a little bit with the timeout because it was close.
Klingberg was offside, Jack, on the near side. This goal's coming back.
Do you have a definitive look at that, though? I don't think he's offside, Bob. I don't see a definitive look there. They might not have the angle. Now, they might in Toronto. Sometimes they have angles in Toronto that we don't have here.
Close.
It's very close. Now, obviously, if Toronto's challenge fails, Edmonton has a chance to win the game in regulation. They'd have a power play for the final 2 minutes of regulation.
They got to be confident. There's no way they challenge this without thinking that it's not getting over.
All right, I've seen a second look where Klingberg appears to break the play into the blue line.
This goal's coming back, unfortunately for Edmonton.
Berube just, and that was a smart play by the Toronto head coach. Go ahead and burn your timeout.
Yeah.
Give yourself an extra few seconds to make sure you get it right.
Yeah, he broke the plane.
He broke the plane.
You're
allowed to be airborne, but you can't break the plane.
Now they have to find the time. Now they have to find the right time. It's probably going to add about 12 to 15 seconds on the clock.
I think he breaks the plane.
Yeah, so do I. This one's coming back, unfortunately, for Oilers fans.
And this is where, and again, it's gone in favor of the Oilers many times as well. I don't love this particular
Spirit of the rule.
I like kind of a 15-second type of deal.
And right now they're looking at putting the time back in the clock. Right. That's the discussion they're having. Here's the call.
After coach's challenge video review, it was determined that the play was offside. We have no goal. Clock will be reset to 2:21.
2:21, so 17 seconds go back on the clock. The other thing that happens here for both teams is the top players are allowed a chance to kind of catch their breath a little bit. This also may settle down Toronto. The Leafs were getting run ragged. And now Edmonton has to summon the resolve again.
And that's Klingberg. You give him 2 more games, he'll know. Like, you're out with McDavid, and he's a veteran, and he hasn't.
And it's an eyelash. I'm not going to lay that on.
No, I'm just saying, get a little used.
I know what you're saying, but Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, and Bouchard out there. So a 4 forwards, 1 defenseman look, 5-on-5 temporarily. Skinner's up at the hash marks. This face-off on the dot outside the Toronto blue line, and Skinner has to stay there as the Leafs were able to chip and charge. Nyes' speed negates any sort of icing, and he'll keep it down low for Mitch Marner. This keeps Skinner firmly lodged between the pipes. Marner feathers one toward the net. It was blocked by Skinner. Nyes tried to push it back to the point, stolen by Draisaitl. Here's McDavid. He's got McCabe beat and was stopped on a backhander by Wall. The rebound loose. Skinner is on the bench. Extra attacker on for Edmonton. Can the Oilers get the equalizer again, and will it count? A return pass. Perry didn't have a stick. He's got to find it. Never did get a stick. There was some confusion on the Oiler bench. Perry, for a second time, approaches and now has a new stick with 90 seconds to go in regulation. Here's the finish. The Oilers trail 4-3. McDavid across the line with Draisaitl. The Leafs nudge it, but not out. Corey Perry, top of the left circle. McDavid gets back up. Stripped by Nylander. He feathers one ahead for Tavares. Tavares waits, loads, doesn't shoot. Instead, tried to get it to Pacioretty. He fires wide. And the rebound to Corey Perry. A strange decision by John Tavares. It may cost him. Draisaitl. Bouchard fires off the post. And the rebound off the glass. Desperate lunge by Perry to keep it in. With a minute to go. The Leafs lead 4-3. Tavares turned it over. Nugent Hopkins. McDavid. Now it's Bouchard. Loading up. Back to McDavid. 45 seconds. Bouchard high slot. Draisaitl one-timer blocked. Rebound loose. Sitting available, and then squeezed through Perry. McDavid 35 seconds. Bouchard waiting, shooting, and a save made by Wall. 32 seconds remaining, third period. Pulsating hockey tonight at Rogers Place as Edmonton looks to tie it. Trailing 4-1 with 14 minutes to go. Bouchard rung the post.
Glenn Gulletson down at the end of the bench here. Ed Edmonton's looking at potentially calling a timeout.
They are taking a timeout. 32.2 on the clock. So both teams having utilized their timeouts. John Tavares, I thought, had a look from the blue line, Bob, and elected to try to send it over to Pacioretty. And then Edmonton came the other way, and Bouchard right down Main Street rung the post. Corey Perry had one slide between his skates with an empty net.
Connor didn't like the way McCabe took him down on the hard net drive. So, it's been a heck of a hockey game.
Oh, these two teams always play beauties, but from an Oiler perspective,
Toronto seems to get more results. And tonight, the difference again, power play, 2 for 2 for the Leafs. Oilers with no Ekholm.
But it's still 6-on-5 for Edmonton.
Yep.
Toronto in the game back in November prevailed without Matthews. Now the Oilers trying to do the same without Ekholm.
Oilers up to 48% in the face-off. They've won a better percentage of the draws here in the third period. They got to win one here.
Draisaitl with Perry and Nugent Hopkins in the slot. Hyman on the right half boards. Bouchard right point. McDavid high slot and a face-off win for Matthews. The Leafs can't clear it though. Matthews poked it free of Draisaitl but not out. Bouchard across to McDavid. 25 seconds to go. Back to Bouchard. Dishing. Draisaitl right face-off dot. He waits. He shoots a save. Wall. Rebound McDavid. Deflected off the post again. Now Matthews will try to pin it behind the net. 10 seconds to go. The puck comes free. Draisaitl on the Bouchard. A blast. That stayed out. McDavid came away with a puck to Draisaitl. One-timer Bouchard save. Rebound Wall. Another shot was blocked at the horn. And Toronto hangs on by a whisker. It's 4-3 for the Leafs. That's your final. I don't know how it stayed out. The crowd still buzzing with the absolute frenetic finish over the final 15 seconds. What a hockey game this turned out to be.
Well, just the buzz after tells you everything you need right there, Jack. I mean, Edmonton with multiple opportunities. And Joseph Wall played like one tonight. He stole this game to the Maple Leafs. The Oilers, for the second consecutive game at home,